Please remember to keep your phones off and stay seated during the speaker. And now help me enthusiastically welcome our speaker tonight, Greg S.
Hey, my name's Greg. I'm an alcoholic. Enthusiastically welcome. Shit, pretty impressive. Oh my God, so good to be here. Glad to be here. Glad to be sober. I'd like to thank Patrick H. for asking me to come up in here and share my experience, strength, and hope with y'all. I know he's out working tonight, but I talked to him earlier. I said, "Did you double book me?" Nope. I said, "Okay, cool," because it's happened, you know. I love that, man. Love this program of recovery. I'm telling you what, man. You know what I did tonight? This was so cool. I got off work and then met with my friend Kurt. And he is a guy that I've taken through the steps. I've got him. We did a 5th step on Sunday. And got him pretty well dialed in on 6 and 7. And he's going to go see his parents down. He's going to graduate from the treatment facility he's at. And then he's going to go see his parents down in Tucson for a few weeks. And then he's heading back to Michigan, because that's where he hails from. So I'm not his sponsor, but I took him through the steps. You know, and that was an absolute honor and a privilege, because I don't know what's going to happen with him. I just, you know, I like to think I, you know, left him better off than I found him, gave him some good direction from these Book of Secrets here. You know, the Book of Secrets, because nobody ever looks at them. But that's a story for another time. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. But, you know, that was really nice to be able, I did that in, when COVID hit. I took a guy through the first 5 steps, and I never met him. I did the whole thing on Zoom. And I never saw him again. He's in Tennessee. He went out with 25 years of recovery. He went out, and with 25 years, you know, and that's not good. I got sober when I was 28. I had brown hair. I did. And I'm 61, so my sobriety date is January 10th, 1989. And yeah, you know, it's a good thing. I've had to have a sober experience as a sober man, and many things happen as we have a sober experience in our lives. But fundamentally, it's like, really, when it gets down to it, it's like, what do I have? And all I have is right now. And I'm talking to you guys right now, and that's all I have, is the infinite now. Another thing, why am I wearing a coat and tie? Real simple. When I came into this program, I asked the winners. I said, who got up to this podium? Some old gray-haired fool like me would get up to the podium, and I'd say, so why do you wear a coat and tie when you speak in a meeting? Or why does a lady wear a dress? And they looked at me and they said, show respect for the program that's saving your life. Pretty good answer. I'm like, okay. So all I did is just follow the direction. I've been doing that for years. That's why I wear a coat and tie. I'm supposed to share my experience, strength, and hope. Talks about that. We already read it. We read that tonight when we read chapter 5. It tells you exactly what to do. We got this thing here called the rarely group. You know, rarely have we seen a person fail who's thoroughly followed our path. That means that's Bill's way, or the verse 100's way of saying, really, if you do this thing, you're going to be fine. You know, what I want to talk about, help me out here, okay? What I want to talk about tonight, I've only done once before, and let's see how it goes. I want to talk about relationships. Well, and I don't mean relationships with him or her. I don't mean that. Although it definitely plays a part, because I sucked at that. And I've been married almost 25 years, and I still kind of suck at it. You know what that's really due to? Selfishness and self-centeredness. That we think is the root of our troubles. They're not kidding. Hello. But what I'm talking about is relationships with, I have a number of relationships. Every human being on this planet has a myriad of relationships, if you think about it. And we don't have to think too hard. Really, I mean, when I was a kid, I had a relationship with my parents, right? You have a relationship with your parents, with your siblings, with your teachers, with the world around you, with your kids on the playground, and all these different relationships that are going on in our lives. This might make sense a little more later. There's a heavy statement in the print, in the 12 and 12, on step 8 of all steps. He's talking about making a list, right? That's what it talks about, just like 2 sentences in the big book. In this, in here, they had, you know what they had? A relationship with the steps, and they learned some stuff, you know? Okay, there's a statement here that just really kind of knocked me off my feet. On page 80, it says, since defective relations with other human beings have nearly always been the cause of our woes, including our alcoholism, ... is telling me one of the reasons I became an alcoholic. Defective relations with other human beings is one of the reasons I became an alcoholic. So, I remember the relationship, I've been thinking about this, I don't know why, but when I was a kid, I was fascinated. I see my parents who were absolute drinkers, man. I thought everybody bought, you know, booze by the handle, okay? That's just, and it's funny, but that's the way I grew up. So contextually speaking, I thought everybody drank that way, right? And I come from, my father comes from a place where he was from Germany, and I have relatives in Germany, and they look at beer and wine, it's not even booze, it's nutrition. I'm not kidding, that's what they call it. I like nutrition, but anyway, that's just, you know, so what's going on is that I come from a place where my dad would give me sips of his scotch and water when I was before first grade. And I drank it, and I liked it. People, oh, I hated it. I liked it all. It tasted good, man. And then I'd see my parents having parties, right? And they'd be smoking cigarettes, and I was obsessed with the cigarette packs. So the adults would give me their empty cigarette packs. I remember this one party distinctly. And I haven't thought about it in decades, man. But it was like, and I remember I was on the top of the bunk bed, and I was watching them in the backyard, and they're drinking and carrying on and smoking cigarettes. And it looked great. I don't know what it was. I was, you know, I was a kid. I don't even think I was 7 years old. It just looked really fun. And maybe that's just the rite of passage. That's what I'm going to do in the future. I don't know. It doesn't even matter. But, you know, that's just kind of the way it was. So, you know, so we have this relationship already with booze and tobacco. And it wasn't like, oh, I can hardly wait to do this. It wasn't even that. You know, or being on the playground, I've heard this from many people when they talk about, you know, not feeling less than, not a part of the playground. And I really think that most of that stuff is just the way it is when you're growing up. Kids are evil. You know, they are. They treat each other like shit. And I felt that way too, but even as a young boy, if I'm in first or second grade, I can't tell you that I feel that way. I can't tell another boy that. You know, who told me that? I did, but that's a story for another time. We're going to get to that. So, you know, I can't tell you how I feel, but I just didn't feel quite right. You know, I'm going to fast forward to being 12 years old with my brother. I've got an older brother who's in this program, and there's alcoholics all over my family. And he's going to be 40 years sober this year. Shit, that's a long time between drinks, you know what I'm saying? So I've been around this program for a long time. I have 33. So there's a little 7-year gap there where I just said, I have nothing, I don't want to, we're going to talk about defiance in just a minute. But he had some marijuana, and back then it was this stuff called commercial marijuana. Who remembers that stuff? Where's an old person? There we go. And it was like you would catch a headache. That's about as good as it would get. I'm not kidding. But the thing is, we were up in the hills, you know, and he had some pot. And he was going to turn me on to smoking weed. And I was 12 years old. And the thing of it was, I didn't get high, and I was pissed. What does that tell you? I don't have a really good relationship with reality because I was looking for something different. And where is it? He goes, well, it really doesn't happen the first time. And I was kind of like, well, that sucks, you know, but I mean, I wasn't like, oh, I can hardly wait to do this again. It wasn't an issue. So that's 12 years old, 7th grade. 8th grade, I think I smoked pot a couple or 3 times, And then I got to be known as a stoner by the kids in 8th grade, even though I'd smoked pot a couple of times. Then there was this other little issue where I got busted for Grand Theft Auto. I was 13 years old and got busted for an accessory to Grand Theft Auto. That's where I learned how to ride motorcycles on a hot bike. It was actually Bill Coleman's Suzuki, and I knew it. And I didn't care. Oh my God, it talks about, like Dr. Bob talks about it in Dr. Bob's Nightmare, where he talks about how what would happen in his life is his absolute disregard for the rules, rights, and privileges, or however you felt about what was going on in your life. I don't care, thank you very much. And that's, he goes, that would kind of plague me as time went on. And so I remember being, being in 8th grade. I forget the class, but what it was, but I can see that, like, the principal came in and talked to the teacher, and they were kind of like talking, looking at me, So all of a sudden I'm a stoner and I'm a criminal, and how do you think that shaped my relationship with my world around me, man? My brother was really good at football. I sucked, or baseball. I sucked at sports, just absolutely sucked at it. And back then it wasn't like, oh, well, let's let everybody get on the team so we can all get trophies and be happy. It was like, oh, you're not, you know what? Your brother's really good. You're not, so you're not playing. And that's the end of that. So that's how it was then. Get over it, The thing is that I didn't really worry about that too much, but then when it came into be high school, this thing clicked and it became time to get loaded, and it was like sophomore year of high school, and The Song Remains the Same was in the theaters, and Led Zeppelin was freaking happening, man, and I was right a part of that. We were keeping Glendale High School full of Red Bud Colombian for like half of the year, and it was good, man, and I was hanging out with some cool people, but I felt, I'm not cool. I'm just not even a part of, man. So back then it was just like trying to pimp beers and smoke dope. But very quickly it went into stealing things off of vehicles for cocaine. It was like, so things aren't going well, folks, but I didn't care. My relationship with the drugs was something that, the drugs and the alcohol was such that it enabled me to like shut this thing off a little bit. Because when I remember being in the back of Steve Gartside's truck, it was back of his El Camino, and I just felt like such a, pitiful excuse for it. What a waste of skin, that's the way I felt back then. So like the inferiority with the egomaniac, with the inferiority complex, I totally had that at that time. And it just didn't suit me well at all. And there was a way out. Every time I drank and used drugs, it shut this thing down. It got quiet. One of the things I found in this program of recovery is it's good to be out of your mind. Now, back then, people go, yeah, you must be out of your mind. And I go, yeah, I think I am. But now, with this, what I've learned in this program of recovery, being out of your mind is actually a very good place to be, because this thing feeds me bad information all the time. It tells me that I can't get along with the world. I can't get along with you. I can't get along with girls. I can't get along with guys. My parents, they don't understand me. Nobody understands, and life is just this dismal world of this morass of garbage, and then, you just die in your worm food. What a great outlook, I mean, what a terrible relationship I had with my environment. I mean, I just had a terrible relationship with everything and everybody about me. And the only thing that seemed to fix it was the drugs and the alcohol, and it seemed to work. Now, I don't know about you, but maybe you've had, I know people that say that, oh my God, it was the first time I ever took a drink or whatever you took. It was just awful. I don't know, but I had a damn good time when it was working out there. I don't know about you, but I had some fun. Otherwise, why do it? But then what started to happen, I got kicked out of high school. So you can tell that things were just kind of going downhill. I got kicked out of high school because I had a problem with showing up. And I went with, graduated from a continuation school. And, then I went to work and I got a job. I'm like, screw this. When my brothers graduated from high school, Chris got a trip to Europe. Mark got a trip to the Greek Isles on some cruise, my little brother. I was the middle child, one of 3 boys. I got $10 and went back to work. And it's totally cool. I don't care. I didn't care. I was like, school doesn't work for me. I really enjoyed school and I was very good at it, but I had the type of father. Talk about a relationship. My dad was a prodigy. He was a surgeon, and he was brilliant. To this very second, my hero and the smartest man I've ever known. And when I come to him in 5th grade with a report card, here's my report card, Daddy, look at this. He go, what are these B's? B's. I go, yeah. And he goes, let me tell you something, son. A's are acceptable. Talk about setting the bar a little on the high side. I'm just like going, what? And he goes, well, if it's an A, why isn't it an A+? Holy shit, man. I was capable of that, it turns out. I mean, I became a student down the road because I learned that, let me fast forward, I learned how to drink in the automotive industry and really drink. And I got in all kinds of trouble. I mean, I got my first DUI before I was even 21. And the only person that seemed to be making money at that time was the guy that owned the shop. I put glass in cars. And it was fun because I got to drive, you name it, and I've driven it. And here's some just stoner kid driving brand new Corvettes or 55 Corvettes and all this cool stuff, you know? So that was fun. I had a great time. But the only person that was making money was the boss. And I'm looking, I got to do this 8 to 5 until I'm 65? I don't think so, man. So I went back to, I'm going to go back to school. And I'm hanging out with this girl. I didn't really get involved with women until I was in my early 20s. And she says, you're a really nice guy, but God, you drink too much. You know, so that's already happening. So the female thing is not going so well. Like, they go screaming the other way. Like, and so I had a negative GPA in high school. And I'm going to a community college, and everybody expects me to fail, including me. You know, and lo and behold, I show up, and I got like a 3.5 GPA. Oh, my God. So, you know, I stuck with it and went to school and worked and did all that stuff and ended up at a 4-year university. I went to UCLA. I'm a Bruin. I did that. But even during that time in my early 20s, my drinking was going like this, and my life was just getting worse and worse and worse. I developed this type of an attitude that if I'd meet you at a party, my attitude was such that you're an asshole until you prove yourself otherwise. That's terrible. I mean, what kind of a relationship is that with my fellows? I don't have one. Really, because by this time, you know, I did have a conscience. I was raised Catholic. I'm still a Catholic, so I've never really had a problem with God, but I figured he had a problem with me. And as time went on, I couldn't help but know just, you know, this drinking thing is getting out of hand. Like if you're at school and somebody smells booze, and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning and I've already drank. You know, I don't know about you, but I get up in the morning, one drink is a half pint of whiskey. That's one drink. And I've usually had about at least a half pint in me before I even went to work, before I went to school. And then people are going, God, do you smell? Somebody smells like liquor. Yeah. And I'm sitting there just, you know. But in my heart, I'm going, it's you. You know it. There's something terribly wrong here. You know, right? I mean, come on. I'm not a sociopath. I have a conscience. I had a conscience then. But God forbid, I can't ask you for help. No way. So then my brother, he sits there and gets into this thing where he decides he's going to move to Oklahoma. We lived in Southern California. He got as far as Fontana. And yeah, if anybody that knows Southern California, he made it about 60 miles. And my brother, my dad, here's my dad, the doctor's opinion. Okay, gospel truth. He says, this is what happened to your brother. He's in a treatment facility. It turns out your brother is an alcoholic. And I'll never forget it. I looked at him and I go, oh, I just thought he was crazy. Well, they go hand in hand, folks. Trust me on that one. They go hand in hand. And I said, what about me? And he goes, oh, you're not an alcoholic. The doctor's opinion. Boom. Right there, man. That kept me out of the rooms for about 7 years, except for Mr. and Mrs. DUI that kept happening. Kept me in the rooms. Please sign my court card. I can't stand this AA bullshit. I've got some drinking to get to. Thank you very much. Okay, so here I am. Oh, Greg's Mr. AA or whatever the hell, Mr. Print guy. I hated Alcoholics Anonymous with a passion. I didn't want anything to do with it, you know. But at the same time, the seed got planted long before I knew where I couldn't help but noticing you guys aren't drinking and you're not taking drugs, and you're doing okay, and what is that? And you actually have a relationship with yourself. You're happy. Happiness, what's up with that, you know? I knew misery. Who knows misery? Who knows hopelessness? Come on, bring it on. There we go. I spent years with hopelessness. I spent years with misery. What kind of a relationship is that? What kind of an existence is that? You know, I mean, I couldn't get along with my fellows. One of the three basic instincts is sex, security, and society. And I'm talking about sex, the desire to procreate. Security, to be one among your, you know, to have clothes on your back, roof over your head, clothes, stuff like that, food in the pantry. And society, to be one among your fellows. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have any of that. And I didn't want it. I didn't know what I want, but you know, as time went on, I mean, I was in this place where I think it was my defiance was such that I just didn't want to deal with it at all. And there's this guy here. Let me see if I can, okay. Harry Tiebout, anybody heard of him? He was a psychiatrist, a preeminent psychiatrist that really got AA in the psychiatric world as not a thing that was just due to like a lack of values or morals or willpower issues. No, he was pointing out, you know, what was going on with the alcoholics. And I just read this on Monday. Okay, I'm always learning, man. Me and Einstein got something going on here. It talks about defiance, and it says defiance, certainly with alcoholics, is a surprisingly effective tool for managing anxiety. Effective tool for managing anxiety or reality, both of which are so often a source of anxiety. If you defy a fact and say it is not so and can succeed in doing it unconsciously, you can drink to the day of your death, forever denying the imminence of that fate. As one patient phrased it, my defiance was a cloak of armor. I never heard that, and it's true. Look where my defiance took me. I don't want your help. I don't want AA's help. I got this. Complete opposite of step one. Although there was something in me, this little relationship that I had with this power, this going, you need help, start asking people. You know, and I'm like going, I don't want to deal with that, you know? I don't want to deal with that at all. My life is a big fat problem and I'm running from it. Most people, they sit there, they don't drink at it. They deal with it. Maybe they have these difficulties, like when my father suddenly died in 1988. You know, my life fell apart. I was passing out at work, withdrawing from school, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong in my life. And I knew it. And I was telling my girlfriend, she's the first one, this poor girl. Jesus. Anyway, I told her, Susan, you know, I party a lot. And she goes, yeah, I know, because she was a party girl. She liked to, you know, get loaded. Yeah, I party. No, Susan, I party a lot. You know, she's like going, I know. And I said, no. I'm an alcoholic. That's the first person I admitted that to. And that was in fall of '88, just before my dad died. Because it was all coming to an ugly head. Again, you know, school gets in the way of your drinking, work gets in the way of my drinking. I have no relationship with myself other than just absolute self-loathing. Looking at a mirror, maybe this might be familiar to some of you guys, looking in a mirror going, God damn you, and meaning it. That's terrifying. But you get it. So that's cool, man. I mean, I'm not alone. People going, yeah, I did that too. So it's like, you know, I'm not alone in this, okay? I just didn't have a relationship with anything. I didn't know how to have a relationship with anything. I didn't have a relationship with me. And as a quick aside, there's a reason why they talk about you shouldn't get into a relationship in your first year. You know why? Just what I just got done saying. You can't transmit something you don't have. How can you transmit love to your fellows, to someone you might have a relationship with, if you don't have that for yourself? And I had to find that out the hard way. Therapy and women screaming the other way in sobriety. Shit, man, you know? Again, it talks about it in the 12 and 12. It talks about how in the 4-step that, you know, how, don't try to think about it, Greg. It ain't going to work. This thing is broken, trust me. Yeah, page 53. But it is from our twisted relation with family, friends, and society at large, that's everything, that many of us have suffered the most. We have been especially stupid and stubborn about them. Oh boy, this is fun. The primary fact we fail to recognize is our total inability to form a true partnership with another human being. God damn it, I hate that. Because you know what? Either I'm trying to be like the kind of guy that is like, you're an idiot until you prove yourself to otherwise Captain Gregory bullshit, you know, right? And here I am playing the power driver or the doormat. Please like me. Please like me. Talk about a confusing life, man, right? And then I'm coming to these meetings, listening to the Winters, talking to my brothers, he's staying sober and all, you know, my sponsor, I've only had one sponsor. I asked him to sponsor me when I was drunk. I did. And he's the only sponsor I ever had, but you know, I look at these guys and they're not getting loaded and they're okay, they're happy. What is going on here? You know, and everything was cool. I'm listening to the guys talking the talk, walking the walk, and then they bring the God thing into the equation, and I figured, oh, there's the great. God, you know, I don't want anything to do with him. He doesn't want anything to do with me, you know. And then I had a series when a couple times, well, it happened a lot, but there was a couple times where there was a voice that was not my own that spoke to me. You know the sound of your voice in your thought life. It's you. All right? Whatever thought, Chris, you know the sound of your voice. It's you. You have your own voice. A voice came in that was not mine, and it was in front of a judge. God's got this weird-ass sense of humor, man. Because I'm looking at a judge for getting sentenced, I mean, in the process of getting sentenced for another DUI. This was my third one. It should have been 3,000. And he said, and all of a sudden a voice, not my own, comes in and says, if you keep doing what you are doing, you will most surely die. Quote, unquote. It wasn't my voice, man. And I'm like going, and I couldn't hear the judge, and all this different stuff's going on, and God's talking to me. And then the next morning, the best thing I could do after getting cut loose from the jail was to go find a liquor store and get me a jug and pass out on the front lawn of the Santa Clarita Sheriff's. Good thinking, Greg. That's some solid thinking right there. You know, I had my brother come get me going, okay, let's go to Mr. Detox, you know. So, geez. You know, I honestly saw that. Prior to that, a couple of years, there was a voice said to me, too. It says, you're not going to see 30. Yeah, defiance, delusion. Delusion is definitely a synonym of defiance. My defiance went, I got some drinking I need to get to, don't you know? You know, it's just a bunch of nonsense. Oh, my God. So, yeah, through a series of bad breaks and misfortunes, I ended up getting out of jail one more time and went to Grandview. Walked up the steps to Grandview January 10th, 1989. Didn't know what I was walking toward, but I knew I was walking away from something. And I just, man, look, I was just talking to this guy, Kurt, and he says, there's one fear I really have, man. I go, what's that? And he goes, I have a fear of relapse. And I go, yeah, that scares the crap out of me. Most of my fear is unreasoned, but that fear, I'm scared to death of it, man. So when I came in here, I was like, what do you guys got? I quit fighting. You know, I didn't know about having a relation. I was willing to have a relationship with Alcoholics Anonymous. I'll tell you that, but it wasn't by virtue. It was by circumstance. It was like, hi, my ass is falling off. Does anybody have any glue? You know, and they're going, we got a glue right here. And I'm like, well, let's put this thing back on and see what goes, you know. I just did what they told me to do, just like I told my friend Kurt. You're going off to Michigan. This is what I did. Basically, you make this program the most important thing in your life. You take these steps into your life. We read it tonight. Very important word. Here are the steps we took. It doesn't say worked. That's a job. Here are the steps we took. Look up the word took. To take something, oftentimes, really involves having a relationship with it. As a woman takes a husband. Think about it. A student takes a class. You enter into a relationship with it. What are they asking me to do? To enter into a relationship with these 12 steps of recovery. one day at a time. Considered, all I had to do, this doesn't take too long. This isn't too complicated for Greg here. Let's check Greg's track record. How's it going doing your way? Bad. Okay, we're clear on that. And you guys are not getting loaded yourself. Okay, and let's just take that and do what you do. Like when I used to fall asleep on people's shoulders. I was just an obnoxious. You guys never kicked me out for 7 years going to meetings. Hey, no, there's Greg again, you know. So, I was going to take a 30-day chip. I didn't think anybody would believe me because, you know, I'm going, Richard, they're not going to believe that I got 30 days, man. He goes, oh, kid, you're good. You have eyes instead of slits. Hey, what's up, brah? You know, so, right? So you have eyes. That's the big giveaway right there. And he goes, let me tell you something, son. He said it to me outside in the steps leading into the auditorium of the Day at a Time group in Glendale, California. And he said, let me tell you, as a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous, the sky's the limit. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. You can do it in this program of recovery. But there are certain things you have to do. Number one, you make your sobriety the most important thing in your life. Period. This is not up for debate. Number two, you don't drink a news no matter what. Again, if your butt falls off, we remember the glue? We'll put it back on. You don't get loaded. You don't drink. You don't use one day at a time, no matter what. Okay? All right. I said, absolutely. You take these steps into your life. You go to meetings regularly. You work with others. You practice these principles. As they come along, I said, well, when's it going to happen? Just don't worry about it, kid. Just relax. Take it easy. We got it. Just show up. Just relax. And I went, okay. Talks about it in step 2. I quit fighting. My defiance and that was like the big fat surrender. Like, you know, the big fat surrender when you got into, who's in a treatment facility? Many of you guys are in treatment or have been. I was too. I'm no different. It still gets us here, right? Because here you are. So when you come into a treatment facility and your butt fell off and you can't even find your butt, right? So you're going, somebody help me find my butt. But you're realizing how bad you're going, oh my God, my life is help me. And then about 30 days later, you're going, oh, it wasn't that bad. I think I could probably help with the writing of the next edition of the Big Book. The point is when I came in here, you had the big fat surrender. And that guy, Harry Tiebout, talks about it. He gives a great definition of a surrender. Surrender is a point in time when the alcoholic's grandiosity and defiance stop. I'll say that again. A surrender is a point in time when the alcoholic's grandiosity and his or her sense of defiance, when it ceases, it stops. Because that's what got me into a place where I was like, I was out of ideas. I got to do something. Let's give this a shot. But then what happens with, you know, what Tiebout talks about after that is the recuperative power of the ego. Sorry, that's just how it is. I've got to battle with that. I've got to battle with the character I brought here. And the character I brought here is, didn't even know the difference between right and wrong. It talks about it in the doctor's opinion where, you know, to us, the alcoholic life seems the only normal one, where my relationship with a bottle is like going to the liquor store at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I got a pint of whiskey that I'm getting at 7 in the morning. But I'm going to different liquor stores so that you won't find out, you know, coming 2 in the morning, and not buying like a fifth or a handle, because then I'd be an alcoholic. Never mind the drinking in the morning part. Oh, that. You know, but that's where my life had taken me. The fun had stopped, and I had no way out. There was no way out, man, except for this program of recovery. And so when I came in here, I was absolutely desperate, and I had a very clear sense of the first step. The old-timers used to talk about it. Mike's probably heard it. You take a drink. I took a drink. The drink took me. I took a drink. The drink took me. And I couldn't guarantee you what was going to happen, but chances were really good it was going to be bad. There was that part. You know, check your track record, Greg. And So I would do that, and the unmanageability of my life was obvious. I had no relationship with anything worthwhile in my life. Plus, I was very clear on the fact that this disease was taking anything and everything that I loved and stomping on it. I'm going to go back to step one. So without even knowing the unmanageable, really having a handle like I could see today, I do know that I came in to this program with a clear sense of the first step. And the first step is the only one you have to do 100%. It talks about it in the 6th step of the 12 and 12. This is the only step that I can do 100%. And that means abstinence. Don't drink, don't use, no matter what. Period. You know, the unmanageability, you know, I didn't have a relationship with my life. Right? I didn't have a relationship with my life. What am I going to do? Oh my God, my life is completely unmanageable by me. To this very second, thank you very much. But then I just said it kind of rockets you into two. Well, come to believe that a power greater than you can restore you to sanity, which is defined as soundness of mind. When do I need to do that? Just for the day I'm in. Not for yesterday, not for tomorrow, but how about now? And that's what I'm asking for right now as I'm talking to you. That's what I'm asking for right now, soundness of mind, you know? And I haven't even named the power. It's just a power greater than myself. And it does mean that I am a power, by the way, power greater than yourself. What happened is the big book says lack of power was our dilemma. However, the 12 and 12, because they had a relationship with these steps, they said, actually, let's go to the print, Greg. Don't get in your brain because this is not going to work. Our whole trouble had been the misuse of willpower. We had tried to bombard our problems with it instead of attempting to bring it into agreement with God's intention for me. Have you ever sometimes taken this print, reading it in the first person, really drives it home. At least it does for me. My point is that I misused my power. I have power. You have power. Everybody in this room has power. I misused it. I tried to just power through my problems with it instead of like God. God who? You know, I don't need him. I've got this, don't you know? No, man, I don't got nothing except for alcoholism, and I'm screwed unless I do something like follow the principles outlined in these 12 steps of recovery. So if I'm asking for soundness of mind, and it's beginning to work because I have a mind that's not occupied with self 100%, so I have an open mind. I can hear a little bit. Couple that with the idea of not drinking and using no matter what, taking these steps into my life, just doing what these guys told me to do, which is the same thing I told this guy Kurt to do. I said, I'm telling you to do the same thing I was told to me 33 years ago. Nothing's changed. And it's true. Principles are principles. They don't change. They work for everybody. 2 plus 2 is a principle. What do you get when you add 2 plus 2? Thank you. Thank you, Joe, you math major. I love it. He got 4. I'm going to get 4. Everybody's going to get 4. You add that up. What if I practice these principles? What if I practice courtesy, kindness, justice, and love? What if I practice love? Just for one day, what am I going to get? I'm going to get a steadfast sense of well-being. Isn't that a big, fat word there? Steadfast sense of well-being. There was a guy named Aristotle that was talking about that about 300 or 400 years before Christ came on the planet. This shit's not new, okay? This stuff is not new. If I do these things, then all of a sudden I do esteemable acts, try to work with the next guy, find the guy that's new. You know, I don't want to be inconvenienced, but you know what it talks about? Nothing so much ensures immunity from drinking, from alcoholism, so much as working with the next guy, strenuously helping the next alcoholic, intensive work with the next alcoholic. What does that action give me? A sense of self-esteem, right? So all of a sudden, I'm starting to have some self-esteem. I'm starting to have values. Oh my God, I'm starting to know right from wrong. Because my parents were good parents. They taught me some good stuff, man. You know, and I was there to watch my dad was not, when he died, I was sober within a month of his death. We were like 2 junkyard dogs at that time. Just, I don't know what was going on with him, and he didn't know. We had no relationship. But I was there for when my mom died. I was there to watch her breathe her last. I was there, you know, looking at my brother's corpse. You know, I've been through some stuff. I was there shaving my wife's head when she had cancer. 3 years of marriage, she gets cancer. I'm like going, hey, God, I got an idea. Run! You know, because anybody run, any runners out there? Anybody? Yes! And then my brother, sage man that he is, reminded me of those wedding vows I took. In sickness and in health, for better, for worse, for richer, for... Shit, I forgot. My forgetter is the best part of my brain, so I'm in. You know, I'm in. That's what I did. I mean, I went to a... God's such a funny guy, man. I just, you know, I turn my will and my life over to this power to the best of my decision, to the best of my ability for the day I'm in. One day at a time. That's all I try to do. Because if God can relieve me of, which he has, he's relieved me of my alcoholism, my obsession to drink, okay? And this God guy is, well, they call him omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent, right? That means that he's everywhere, he's all-knowing, and he's all-powerful. But I spent a bunch of years in relationships with going, well, God can take care of the sober part, but I think I got the relationship thing. You know, I broke up with my wife when I even met her. Jeez, what an idiot. And I've been like 6 years sober. I'm just going. Then all of a sudden God says, hey, guess what? It's not them, it's you. You need help, and it's outside AA. So that took me into therapy for a couple of years, and what I found out is, you know, most people, like the idea of vulnerability and intimacy is absolutely frightening for men. Okay, and that's what I found. And then it was one of those black and white things, like, okay, don't do that anymore, which is really weird, but it actually worked that time. And I've been doing that. I mean, we're going to be married 25 years in May, and I still, because I'm a selfish, self-centered prick, I still suck at relationships, but I'm better than I was. You know, I'm better than I was, and I have a relationship with me. And I have a relationship with this power that just blows my mind. I mean, anybody that's having a spiritual experience, you know that you can't, what's going on with this power in your life, you can't make up. There's just no way. Like, I went to go see a doctor because I'm getting older, and I had diverticulosis, and the doctor goes, oh, you just made my job really hard. And I go, what's that all about? And he goes, well, you've got cirrhosis. And I went, duh. And he goes, what do you mean, duh? And I go, I'm a recovering alcoholic, so I have cirrhosis. Like, I'm supposed to be shocked? But what the funny thing is remember I told you earlier how a voice told me a long time ago, you're not going to see 30. And when I was about 26, 27, 28 years sober is when the doctor told me that. So 26, 27, 28 years later, I find out that when that voice told me, you're not going to see 30, if I hadn't gotten sober, I wouldn't have. You can't make that stuff up. You know, I mean, it's just amazing that what's going on with this program of recovery, and we just scratching the surface with these 12 steps. I just hit you with the first 3, man. You know, there's 9 more. But the first 3, especially the first one, if I'm not in the first one, none of this stuff's going to happen. Because I'm going to think I'm running the show, but I already know what happened to me when I ran the show. It damn near killed me. And it'll still take me out. And I don't want that today. I do exactly what was outlined in this print, man. And I know what's in here because I've gone through it over and over and over again. And I've shared it with those who could benefit from it or might benefit, like my friend Kurt. I don't know. I may never see him again. But I might. I don't know. But I'm trying to do what I think my Creator would have me do. And my life flows just like it should. And it's really weird, and it's a bigger buzz than any drug I ever took or any drink. This is the buzz. Trust me on this one. You know, so stick around because I guarantee you're going to have a relationship with the planet. It's in all of its inhabitants that's beyond your wildest dreams. Thank you for letting me share. Appreciate it.